about how people consume media, but people still want good storytelling, they still want to be informed, they still want to be inspired, but the way that that happens has changed dramatically. At BuzzFeed, we see 70% of our traffic is on mobile phones, so people are looking at their mobile devices. We have half our audience is 18 to 34, so younger people. 75% of our traffic comes from people sharing content with each other on social networks. And so the way that people are getting media has really dramatically changed, and you need to do brand campaigns that match the way people consume media today, not the way that people consume media 10 years ago, and I think that's one of the things that's driving a lot of innovation in the industry.
Yeah, I would just add, I agree with Lucas. I think making sure that there's consistency in the brand message across platform and across people, even as it's nuanced to fit into the different channels or different audience groups. I think one of the things that we've seen in the past is that people have had very siloed approaches to their brand messages and their brand campaigns, depending on what platform they're on. So they'll have a very specific social media strategy on Facebook and a very specific strategy on YouTube and Twitter and then for television, and it's not all integrated. And so making sure that the halo of the brand message is all uniform, but it's nuanced in a way that fits with each of those platforms and relative audiences. And I think a great example of this is the work that's being done on Newcastle, both with the If We Made It and the No Bullets campaign. I mean, the imagery, the brand imagery, and the tagline is consistent no matter what medium or what platform you see it on, but it's nuanced to fit each of the different platforms.
Nice. Thank you. Riffing off of that idea of custom content, we know that millennials, they want customized contents, things that are just for them. How can brands do that well? I think, Jonah, you're a great person to start because BuzzFeed is all about custom and speaking right to that audience.
Yeah, what we found is that because our distribution is people sharing, that all content becomes custom. And because of great platforms like YouTube and Facebook, people share content with people that they care about in their life. And so if we do a post like the challenges of having extremely curly hair, people with curly hair will share that with each other. If we do a post about signs that you're a Florida Gator, people who are Florida Gators will share that content and it'll reach those people. We do a lot of quizzes where each person gets a customized experience. Which pop diva are you? And you answer your questions and you're like, I got Beyonce, someone else gets Rihanna. That wasn't my actual result, but you get the idea. And so when you zoom out and you look at BuzzFeed, for example, you might see a lot of eclectic things that are for different people, and it seems weird that one site would have so much things for different people, but that's actually the point. The point is that we're making things for different people, and it comes there, and they share it, and it allows them to connect with people in their life. And media has really become a way for people to connect with other people, as opposed to just being about the information in the content. And so personalization and social are really hand in hand and very, very important.
Interesting. There's a lot of customization on YouTube also, Lucas. What do you think?
There is. I mean, one example to think about is Taco Bell is considered one of the marketers that's doing this the best right now. And as they thought about launching their new fiery BLT or their cool blue taco, instead of making one TV commercial themselves and broadcasting it to the world, they basically gave the brief to a bunch of different YouTube creators and said, how would you tell your audience about the new cool blue taco? So 65 different channel creators on YouTube, each of whom have an audience of over 1 million subscribers, introduce the cool blue taco to their audience in their own unique way. And so in one sense, all of a sudden you're getting 65 different versions of the same message, but tailored for the context and the audience in which people want to watch it. So lots of different ways to get there, but that's one example where it's being done really well.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think it's a great point. I mean, just, we're now sitting on tons and tons of data, just in terms of the way people consume content, and so much of it is digital now. And so instead of thinking of a strategy around how do I connect with people on social platforms or digitally, it's really about connecting with people. And within those, that audience of millennials, that's 80 million people, that's a huge audience. What are the discrete segments of that audience and what are the unique attributes about it through all the insights that we have and all the data that we have so that we can message in a way that's really personalized and unique to them, but still at scale.
Right. Lucas, I have one for you, to start with you. We're talking a lot about loyalty and how in Dolph's remarks, he was talking about how brand affinity has waned. That actually 92% of brands could go away, and consumers wouldn't say more than so what. So how do you build loyalty, and how do you see other brands doing that well?
So think the point's been made a couple times that human beings today aren't any different than human beings 50 years ago. So our wants, our needs, our hopes, our desires actually haven't changed, and our desire to belong to things, including brands, actually is the same today as it used to be. What's changed, and it's actually a little different for the beer industry, but in general, we've gotten to a more frictionless distribution, right? It used to be controlled by what was available in the movie theater, but on YouTube we now have 4 million channels of lots of different things where content creators can go direct to consumers. Amazon has made it possible for the shampoo business, all the long-tail creators of shampoo can now reach their audience directly without having to wait for Walmart distribution. So suddenly, physical distribution is no longer a protector of brand loyalty, and in a place where consumers have infinite choice, the requirement to earn brand loyalty has gone higher. You have to be more authentic, your product has to work consistently. When the consumer speaks back, you actually have to respond, and if you choose not to, buyer beware. And so YouTube, as an example, is actually the second most loved brand among everybody in the world under the age of 35. And if YouTube went away tomorrow, I think you'd see a mutiny. Go look at Turkey right now and you see what's happening with Twitter and with YouTube. And so I do think people can be loyal to brands. They're loyal to Facebook, they're loyal to lots of brands. However, if you violate that consumer trust, the ability for the consumers to tear the brand down faster than ever, they have more tools at their disposal than they've ever had. And so you can't violate that relationship as easily as you might have been able to in the past.
Can you actually build on one specific example? Because I know you worked with these guys, and Dolph mentioned in his opening as well, GoPro.
Sure.
And sort of how GoPro has evangelized people around this idea of extreme video and being heroes.
So if anybody's not familiar, GoPro are the cameras you wear in your head when you go skiing or snowboarding or waterboarding, and you catch your experience as it happens. And it's a physical camera, no different than Sony could have made. And yet this company has completely upended Sony and all the other traditional electronic manufacturers because they built a brand that's been one with the people from the start. And so it's a whole model of you capture a photo of yourself doing something amazing, you upload it to YouTube, some other 18-year-old kid says, I can do that same jump off that same ski jump better than you did, and uploads another video. And it becomes a continual loop of anything you can do, I can do better. But suddenly the folks that are building the brand are actually the consumers themselves, and they now feel an ownership in the brand that engenders insane loyalty. If you were to go to any ski resort or any coastal town, GoPro has about a 90% share of that camera market, much to the chagrin of the Sonys and the Philips and the traditional electronics companies. Because GoPro started from a basis of we're going to build it together. It's not we're going to put out a product and then market it.
Interesting. Any thoughts on loyalty, Jonah? I'm certainly loyal to all of your lists, especially that one about the Muppets, which I did find particularly fun.
I mean, a key thing in terms of building loyalty with a young audience is to not stay in one place. I think branding now it's not about being a dot, it's about being a line and moving in a direction. The brand stands for something, but it has to stand for something that's more dynamic than just this will always be this exact same thing. At BuzzFeed, we started with cute kittens and internet memes and jokes because that's what people were sharing on Facebook and Twitter when we started. And now we have 2 reporters covering the crisis in Ukraine. We have an investigative journalism team. We publish long-form content. We have offices in London and Sydney and Sao Paulo, and expanding in a bunch of different areas. And we're doing all of that partly because it's really fun building a company, and partly because we need to evolve and change and grow, and that's how you build brand loyalty today. And I think when you see the way the new products that Heineken is launching, part of that is being almost like a media company where you are taking new ideas and you are expressing them in the product and evolving what you're building, and that's incredibly important for the young audience. You want to try new things and have new experiences. You don't just want the same exact classic thing, over and over again.
Absolutely. Christine, I have a question for you because I know you guys have had a lot of breakthrough work in this area recently. We're spending so much on social and so much on digital, and you see the shift from TV to now social and digital content. But how do brands know if it's working? How do you track that ROI and actually track down these sales?
Yeah, well, that is what we want to do, and that's what we're working on right now. We've really evolved, Facebook has, from a social platform and a place to build communities and engage them and acquire fans and generate likes and shares to a mass media platform now with over 1.25 billion people globally on the service. That is, when used for marketing objectives, really drives real business results. And that's the engagement model that we want to have with our business partners. Specifically for the consumer packaged goods industry, we have partnerships with third-party data providers that are actually able to go and look at when an ad is shown on Facebook, so Heineken ad, if somebody's exposed to that on Facebook, if they went in and purchased offline at a store. Now this closed-the-loop measurement is something that's very new and pretty holy grail in terms of being able to measure the return on ad spend from an ad exposure on Facebook. We've done a couple hundred of these studies so far. We've been in the market with them for the past year, and over 70% of the studies that we've done have shown at least a 3x return on investment, which is incredible. Really strong results. And what's even better news is that we did one study for Dos Equis around the Halloween holiday last fall, and then another one for Heineken over the holidays. They're both ROI positive, and we have a couple more in the hopper that we're excited to share results with soon.
That's great. That's exciting. That's
Very
a huge
exciting.
shift.
It's a huge shift.
And we like the ROI when we can prove out the theory in the end. Lucas, I want to dive into one thing, put you on the spot a little bit because you have so much expertise about it. But the Heineken brand team earlier, we were talking about roulette and departure roulette. We saw some of those images.